They taught you that sex is physical, that it's a release, a moment, a climax. They never told you it was an engine, a generator, a cosmic power plant sitting dormant in your body. And even fewer told you that when this energy is directed, not wasted, it has the potential to ignite your third eye. Because what is the third eye really? It's the center of perception beyond the five senses. The lens through which you feel truth before it's said. The antenna for symbols, dreams, visions, and deep knowing. And your sexual energy? It's not separate from it. It's the fuel. In ancient temples, Egypt, India, Mesopotamia, priests and priestesses didn't treat sex as taboo. They treated it as technology, not for pleasure alone, but for transformation. They understood a core truth. Sexual energy is creative energy. The same force that builds worlds can awaken gods inside the human frame. But here's the danger. When misused, that same force creates addiction, loops, shame, weakness. It keeps the third eye dull and foggy. Why? Because the third eye thrives on clarity and constant release, unchecked stimulation, and digital indulgence. They cloud that clarity. They drain the system. They leak the very charge that could electrify perception. So what did the ancients do instead? They redirected, they stored, they channeled their sexual energy upward, through the spine, into the pineal gland. This wasn't metaphor, it was alchemy. And when done properly, visions opened, dreams became instruction, intuition became command. You weren't guessing, you knew. But this knowledge was buried, hidden by empires, mocked by media, scrubbed from religion. Because a being who knows how to wield their own energy is a being that can't be controlled. This is why sex became a tool of control, not a key to freedom. And if you've ever wondered why you feel drained after certain acts, but electrified after others, this is why. It's not about morality, it's about voltage. Ancient mystics didn't see the human body as a shell. They saw it as a temple of current, with a sacred circuit buried inside. That circuit? The sushumna, the central energy channel that runs from the base of your spine to the crown of your skull, passing straight through the pineal gland. This is where sex and vision merge, not through fantasy, but through intention and breath. Let's break this down. At the base of the spine is your root center, home of survival energy, raw drive, animal instinct. This is where sexual energy is born. It's primal, it's physical, it's powerful. But if left unchecked, it stays there, circling, building tension, seeking release. Now here's what the ancients did differently. They didn't release that energy. They cultivated it. Through breathwork, focused attention, posture, and sometimes plant allies like cannabis, they began to pull the energy upward. From the root, through the sacral, creativity, to the solar plexus, will, heart, connection, throat, expression, third eye, vision, and finally to the crown, cosmic unity. And when that energy reached the third eye, something opened. You could feel your own electromagnetic field expand. Your dreams became messages, your thoughts gained precision, your presence became magnetic. This is sex magic, not porn, not fantasy, but the alchemical act of internal combustion, where pleasure meets purpose and turns into power. The pineal gland, stimulated by both energetic current and subtle chemicals like DMT and melatonin, begins to vibrate. You may feel buzzing in the forehead, pressure between the brows, heat rising from the base. You may see light with your eyes closed, hear tones, sense visions. This isn't imagination, it's ancient circuitry reactivating. And that's exactly why this knowledge was hidden. Because the one who masters their own current no longer begs for power. They radiate it, and no system built on control can tolerate a population that radiates inner truth. So society taught you to spend your energy. Fast, often, mindlessly, scroll, click, release, repeat. But the sages, the tantrics, the initiates, they knew the opposite. They didn't avoid sexual energy. They mastered it, and they used it to awaken the seer within. You still can, because the circuit is still there. Dormant, waiting, ancient. And the fire that climbs the spine still burns beneath your skin. If you've ever felt like there was more to your desire than pleasure, you're right. It was never just about sex. It was about sight. Let's talk about energy leaks, because most people aren't weak. They're just leaking power, hour by hour, day by day, without even realizing it. You wake up and immediately reach for your phone, flood your nervous system with noise, consume content that's not aligned, numb discomfort with endless scrolling. Later, you act on impulse, chase a dopamine hit, release your energy in isolation, with no intention, just escape. and you wonder why your focus is fractured, why your motivation is low, why your vision, inner vision, feels shut off. Here's the truth. Every unconscious action costs voltage. Every click without presence, every release without reverence, every distraction pulls current from the system you were born to activate. And that current? It's the very force needed to light the third eye. See, your third eye doesn't open in chaos. It opens in coherence. When your body, mind, and breath are aligned. When your sexual energy is contained, respected, redirected. When your intention is clear. That's when the inner gates respond. But society trains you in the opposite direction. They push overstimulation, overexposure, excess, exhaustion. Because a scattered being doesn't awaken. They just survive. This is why ancient initiates lived differently. They fasted, they practiced silence, they abstained or transmuted their sexual energy for seasons, not from guilt, but to build fire. Because they knew something you weren't told, that retaining your life force is not repression, it's preparation. You're preparing the body to hold higher signal, to tune to truth without static, to see with the eye of the soul. So what can you do now? Begin by noticing your patterns. Where do you act without intention? Where do you leak energy for a moment's numbness instead of channeling it for clarity? Start small. Protect your mornings. Guard your attention. Set sacred space before any act that touches your core energy. Even the way you breathe affects how energy rises. Longer exhales, slower tempo, deeper stillness, and soon, something shifts. You'll feel more in your body, more alive, more charged. You'll begin to notice that you are not the craving. You are the conductor. And when you claim that seat, the pineal begins to whisper, not with sound, but with knowing. And here's the truth. You've always had access. You were just burning the fuel before you reached the flame. So if this is unlocking something for you, if a part of you feels like it's finally remembering something it never learned but always knew, then you're exactly where you need to be. Hit subscribe, tap the bell, because what's coming next isn't information, it's transmission. In the modern world, sex is marketed, reduced to a product, a click, a view, a trend. But in the ancient world, sex was ritual, not to entertain, to initiate. Let's go back. In Egypt, initiates walked into mystery schools blindfolded, not to be kept in the dark, but to be taught how to see without eyes. These initiates spent weeks, even months, in deep silence. No meat, no distractions, no release. Why? Because they were building pressure. Not physical tension, but spiritual voltage. And when that voltage peaked, when their vessel could hold the fire, they would be introduced to the rites of sacred union. Sex was not separate from spirit. It was the bridge. Male and female energies weren't just about bodies. They were polarities of consciousness. The merging of Shakti and Shiva, Isis and Osiris, the serpent and the staff. In that union, something alchemical happened. The spine lit up, the breath shifted, the third eye cracked open, not with fantasy, but with inner light. They would see colors with closed eyes, symbols would emerge in stillness, downloads would arrive in the body, not just the brain. And the pineal gland? It would pulse with clarity. Because when sexual energy is brought to the third eye, it becomes sight. And the deeper the surrender to this internal current, the clearer the signal becomes. This is why Tantra was never about acrobatics or indulgence. It was about ascension through sensation. The body wasn't denied. It was used, not as an object, but as a temple circuit. Now think about today. Fast food, fast dopamine, fast sex, disconnection at scale. The result? Energy stays trapped in the lower centers, the upper chakras shut down, and the third eye, starved. So ask yourself, when was the last time you let your own energy rise without spilling it? When was the last time your breath led your desire, not your cravings? Because once you taste that elevation, once you feel sexual energy spiral up instead of out, you don't go back. You can't. Because the high is not in the peak, it's in the path upward. And cannabis, properly used, amplifies the body's subtle currents, slows time, clears thought, and tunes you to the frequencies the ancients were bathing in long before we called it spiritual. You don't walk through the world, you broadcast through it. Every thought you hold, every breath you take, every impulse you suppress or express, it ripples. And your nervous system is the antenna. Now here's what they didn't teach you in school. Your body emits an electromagnetic field, and this field shifts in real time based on your state. When you're in fear, it contracts. When you're scattered, it fragments. When you're aligned, centered, contained, sovereign, it becomes a force field. Now combine that with charged sexual energy, not drained, not wasted, but elevated. Suddenly you're not just magnetic, you're transmitting at a higher octave. This is where ancient sex magic becomes real-world transformation. Let's break it down. The moment you contain your life force, when you stop scattering it through unconscious action, your nervous system begins to stabilize. Your hormonal patterns shift, your breath deepens, your spine elongates. Most people think posture is just for confidence. It's not. It's a conduit. The straighter your spine, the clearer the current. And when that current carries charged sexual energy upward, straight through the third eye, what once was a gland becomes a beacon. You become perceptive, hyper-aware, not paranoid, precise. You notice subtle shifts in people's tone. You feel the difference between aligned action and forced motion. You pick up on energies in rooms even before walking in because your field is sensitive and sovereign. This is why certain ancient orders remained celibate for periods of time. Not because sex is bad, but because leakage weakens the signal. And when you're cultivating that fire internally, day after day, in silence and intention, you begin to glow. Literally, your skin clears, your pupils sharpen, your gaze carries weight, and your voice, it lands. Because now you're not speaking from mind, you're speaking from charge. This is the hidden secret behind charisma, presence, magnetism. It's not taught in speaking courses, it's encoded in energy mastery. And at the core of this, sexual energy plus third eye equals field activation. When these two forces merge, sacred current and subtle perception, you become more than persuasive. You become undeniable. People feel you before you speak. You draw synchronicity like gravity. The universe stops whispering and starts delivering. Why? Because you're finally broadcasting on its channel, not through effort, but through alignment. And that alignment is the result of radical inner integrity. No more leaks, no more guilt, no more seeking approval, just full spectrum presence. Sexual energy isn't dirty, it's divine electricity. And your third eye isn't decoration, it's the voltmeter. This is the final transmutation, because you weren't just built to feel, you were built to create. And creation, in its highest form, is the fusion of inner energy and conscious perception. That's what sex magic truly is. Not spells, not candles, not rituals you copy from the internet, but the intentional circulation of your life force, your deepest, rawest creative current, channeled through your highest lens of truth. Desire without direction becomes addiction. But desire with direction, it becomes manifestation. And that's what happens when the third eye and sexual energy are fully aligned. You no longer chase, you attract. Not by manipulating outcomes, but by becoming the exact frequency of what you're calling in. You don't visualize with fantasy, you see with certainty, and every part of your body agrees. Your spine pulses with current. Your breath becomes the drumbeat. Your mind, once clouded with doubt and desire, quiets into pure intent. This is the state mystics call the inner marriage. When the masculine current of action meets the feminine current of vision within the self, you become whole. And from that wholeness, you generate reality. People feel it in your presence. Opportunities bend toward your field. Ideas land in your system with blueprints attached. Synchronicities stack. And the universe starts to respond to you not as a seeker, but as a co-creator. This is the science you were never taught. Because a human who can alchemize desire into vision and vision into action is unstoppable. They don't need permission. They don't need validation. They see what's real. They feel what's true. And they become what they came to be. So now the real question is this. If you stopped treating your desire as a distraction and started honoring it as sacred fuel, what would you build with your life? Drop your truth in the comments, not for attention, for alignment. Because someone else right now is reading, watching, waking up, and they need to feel that someone else out there sees what they see, feels what they feel, and is brave enough to speak it. This was your signal. The rest is activation.